is your host and MC, and this morning I am going to be your speaker. So this little video gave you a little insight to who we are. We are all somebody other than who we are in our 9 to 5 or maybe 3 to 11, whatever we do and whatever those hours may be. So this gave you a little insight to who I am and what makes me tick. First and foremost, I think that as a group of entrepreneurs, and we are all here because I would say collectively that's what we are. We are entrepreneurs, we are forward thinkers, we are creatives. I refer to myself as a creative. I don't really have too many hobbies. My hobby is to sit down and think of another business idea. My hobbies in my spare time are thinking about ways that I can connect to other people because that's what gets me going. But this morning, I wanted to speak a little bit about something that is so important. And there's so many other events out there, and what makes this one different is that I want to give you substance, takeaway, knowledge, real impact, things that can help your business from the minute you leave this building. I'll go so far as to say that the information that I'm going to give you this morning, if somebody needs me during a breakout session, you will find me, and I will help you during our sales training session. So for those, I just want to make sure everybody has one of these or has access to one of these. If you don't, just let me know because I need to give you one. It'll make this morning's lesson so much easier. Everybody has one?
What is it?
It's a handout? Yes? Okay. All right. So this morning, what I want to talk about is business credit. So I've been an entrepreneur. I opened my first business at the age of 18. Just giving you an idea, I'm 50 years old now, so that was a long time ago. And the same challenges come up over and over again when we are self-employed. The number one problem people have is, how do I access capital? How do I convince a lender that I am credit worthy? How do I tell somebody that I have this great idea, but I don't know the first thing at all about how to make it happen because I don't have the funding. So what I want to go over with you is what I call, in our business program that we teach, the 20 steps of credibility and fundability. And if you think about that for a minute, how do you expect somebody to want to give you money if you're not able to position yourself to show that you're credible? You have this brilliant idea, right? You just wrote a book. You want everybody to know all about you. But how do you do that? And how do you make yourself and position yourself to be credible so that I can bring you to any of my centers of influence and any of the lenders and funds that I work with and say, this is somebody that you should believe in. So what we're going to go over today, and I'm going to do it quickly just for the sake of staying on schedule and time, the 20-point checklist, again, credibility and fundability. So just by show of hands this morning, I know we went over this yesterday, is everybody in this room self-employed? Right, or wanting to be self-employed? On the journey of self-employment? On the journey of entrepreneurship? Okay, perfect. So the first thing here is about how we look when we search you. So if we have a company, and we'll just call it, ABC company, and they're interested in an expansion of their business, where do you think a lender is going to start? They're going to Google search you. So the first thing that our team does is we are analyzing all of the information about what we can find about you. We're not only just looking at who you are as a business, but let's also remind ourselves about how we look to people on social media. This would be a really good time to go through your personal social media, and I'll say gently, you may want to consider removing some items that may not be perceived as professional. I've had people come to me, and I've had to explain to them pictures of them with their friends at bachelor or bachelorette parties with lots of booze and other substances and things may have looked really, really good in the moment, but it does not look good if I am considering to fund you. I want you to look as professional as you can be for the people that I am going to bring to you. So we're just going to go over quickly a few little things that we look at when we are searching. The first thing is, if you're self-employed, what's your mailing address? Things that you don't really think about. Are you using your home address? Are you using a P.O. box? And it's okay. But again, from a credibility, fundability standpoint, if you don't look like you are permanently grounded somewhere, chances are it's really going to be easy for you to close shop and they're out their money. So when people ask me, well, I use a P.O. box, what do I do now? Change it. I'd rather see you use your home address than a P.O. box. But I'd much rather see you maybe go get a WeWork or go subscribe to a Regis, or even they have places where you can rent UPS store, where you can rent a physical address. So when you're looking at wanting to have access to big capital, I say stop tripping over the dollar to get to the penny. You may have to invest a little bit more in a few of your items in order for you to look credible and fundable. We also want to know about your phone number. Are we using our cell phone? Most people in this day and age use their cell phone, and that's okay, but you still need a landline. It's important to show credibility. A lot of lenders will not lend to you, and it sounds crazy, if you're using a cell phone. So if you do have your cell phone as your business line, consider a voice over IP phone system. You have RingCentral is really popular. Vonage, which is what I use. They run you about $20 a month. You can then put your cell phone as your forward. But from that phone number as well, keep in mind you have the ability to text. You have the ability of faxing. You have the ability of logging in, forwarding numbers. You're now in expansion mode. You can add another line. So again, don't trip over the dollar to get to the penny. It's very convenient to work off of your cell phone. These lines are not the typical, phone system lines. You have an app on your phone, you have an app on your computer, you can log in and make calls from anywhere that you are. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. The obvious is having a website. Some of us may not be there yet, and that's okay, right? But you need to have at least a basic landing page. Go on to GoDaddy, go find somebody. If it is a matter of dollars and cents, put something in one of your local mom groups. There are so many teenagers that are in different classes and other people that volunteer their time. For example, I'm sure everybody's heard of the Small Business Administration. One of the organizations that is funded through the SBA is an organization called SCORE, spelled out, S-C-O-R-E. They are nationwide. I am a SCORE coach. I am a mentor, and I am a speaker for SCORE. SCORE is 100% free to a business owner. They are stacked with industry professionals in every component of a small business owner's life. You can call them with tax questions, marketing questions, finance questions, how to build a business plan. You can call SCORE. So when you think that business is stacked up against you because you don't have the resources, if you contact SCORE, they will find somebody who will help you to develop your landing page. Social media, we spoke about that a little bit yesterday. The last time I checked, it was free to create a LinkedIn profile page for my business. It's also free for me to do one for Facebook. So take advantage of the things that are available to you so that you can start highlighting what your business does. If you're a contractor, it's a great opportunity for you to take pictures of your projects. If you're in the healthcare space, consider taking images of maybe if you're doing cosmetics, if you're a florist, whatever it may be. Everybody in this room does something different. We spoke about that yesterday. Take an opportunity. If you are out, take pictures. Let people know that you are out in the public and that you are visible to the public. The more open you are, the more opportunities you will find, and people will connect with you in different ways. So think about taking advantage of your free resources. Again, build out that page. And if you are uncertain on what it looks like, how to build it, or even if your profile looks professional, call me. You reach out to me. On the bottom of the flyer that I gave you guys is my QR code. Anybody will have all of my information. Feel free to send me a message. Either myself or somebody from my team will review for you and get back to you on it. We also want to make sure that your business is searchable on Google, and there's something which is known as your Google panel. You may want to consider claiming that. That's probably a more advanced class, but for anybody who's familiar, you want to claim yourself on Google, and then you also want to go through your Google panel. We want to make sure that you have a bank account. If you're not established yet, I understand, but you want to open up your bank account. A lot of lenders don't actually consider the formation of your business from the day that it was formed. A lot of lenders look at the formation of your business on the first day that you opened up your bank account. So consider, again, if it's a matter of resources, $10, $20, $100, put something in, open up a bank account, and depending upon the nature of your business, you may want to consider opening up two. One, with a local bank, regional bank, or credit union, because they are there to support the backbone of their community. It's really important for them to embrace you. But as your transactions become larger, or as your vision and your product becomes bigger, you may need to expand. And that's where you might want to look at your Chase Banks and your Bank of Americas, because they are sometimes more fitting for different organizations at different times. So a lot of times we'll recommend that you do have two. We want to make sure that if you are a business that is already in business, look through your tax returns. Here's number one thing about credibility if you want to get funding. All of your addresses should match. So let me say that again. All of your addresses should match. If I am a lender and you used 123 Main Street for the Department of State, and then you used ABC Road on your bank statement, and your tax return is showing a P.O. box, you are out of unison. Everything needs to have the same address. If you are uncertain or you've been in business for a while, just go to the Department of State and see what information they have on you. Really, really important that everything matches. If you are a new business, you may want to consider a pro forma. And I know I'm jumping around a little. If you are also a new business, you may want to consider doing what we call a resume. You may be a chef that has worked the last 15 years at a fantastic restaurant, but today you want to open up your own. First day of being self-employed, first day of being an entrepreneur, first day of being a visionary. How do you convince me that you have the credentials and the experience to run that new restaurant? So consider making yourself a resume. If you've done private catering, get letters of recommendation. Create a list of all the vendors that you already have a relationship with, so that on day one, you can walk out the gate and you know exactly what you need to do, and a lender already knows that those relationships have already been formed. Very, very important. And if you are an existing business, don't take for granted that opportunity presents itself every day. You should always be updating your resume. You should always be asking for letters of recommendation and putting yourself out there, because it may not be relevant what you did 5 years ago. So if who you are today in your business is different than who you were years ago, you may want to consider updating your own references. Really important on LinkedIn as well. There's a place in LinkedIn where people could connect with you and give you a letter of recommendation right through LinkedIn. Everybody here should be using LinkedIn. Everybody here should be asking for people to recommend them, and in what capacity you have that relationship. Building your relationships will never stop. So it's just important to continue to build. So what happens now is you're doing all of these pieces and you're like, this is great, but I just need money, right? Just by show of hands, is there anybody in this room right now that needs capital? So probably, we're laughing because it's about half of the room. If you need capital, now what I want to deep dive into, and this is important, so whether you just take this with you or you write this down, if you never establish business credit, you're done. When you were born, you were given a social security number. When your business was born, you were given an employer identification number. If you never took the time to let people know that you are here, don't expect that people will follow you. So I'm going to rattle off a few names. And some of you might say, that sounds so familiar. I just didn't really know where the connection was made. Everybody in this room, Dun & Bradstreet? Show of hands, has anybody heard of Dun & Bradstreet? Okay. If you are looking for capital, and you don't know who Dun & Bradstreet is, go look them up. They are the #1 go-to for you to build business credit. If I am a lender and I want to give you money, I'm going to go to Dun & Bradstreet. The other two are Experian Business and Equifax Business. And there are many more, but I'm just giving you the top 3. Create your profile. It's free. Inside of Dun & Bradstreet, once you create your profile, they will reach out to you and say, do you need funding? What are you missing? What can we help you with? What can we sell you? Just know that if you are in a mad dash to grow your business credit because you are on a limited timeline to getting funding, they will be able to give you resources to help you establish immediate trade lines and vendor accounts. And those are going to be your key components. Without you having at least 4 to 6 trade line and vendor accounts on Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, or Equifax, you will not be able to actually get a credit score. So unlike your personal credit, where you can have maybe 1 or 2 lines of credit and have a credit score, you need a minimum of 4 lines of credit for them to give you a score. What you need to do is start there and then build accordingly. Some businesses need more capital than others. So it would be safe to say that as they are establishing your profile and as you are maintaining your credit, the larger your lines of credit, the more money in the future you will have access to. You don't start with a $5,000 line of credit and then expect your next line of credit to be $250. Okay? So it's all in moderation. There are ways, which we will not talk about here, but on a 15-minute discovery call, I will tell you, there are ways to manipulate the system if you need large capital quickly. I'll just leave it there. See you give me the googly eyes. You're like, tell me more. Not doing it here. I'm on video. So, with that said, the other big cheat is another organization called NAV. N-A-V. And again, this is all on your sheet here that I gave you. How many of us in this room have Credit Karma? Probably more than half. Experian.com, probably, again, a little bit more. NAV is your equivalent to the Credit Karma and the Experian on the business side. When you establish a profile with NAV, their first thing they're going to say is, do you have a DUNS number? Do you have a number with these other organizations? And if you don't, they are going to direct you and remind you the importance of connecting with those other organizations. The benefit of NAV, like your Credit Karmas, is that they have a whole bunch of lenders already built into their search engine and they are going to match you with lenders that meet the specifications of where you are as a business owner today. It is a major cheat. So if you need funding, the very first things that you need to do is after you created your credibility, is get your numbers, your DUNS number, sign up for Experian Equifax, and then subscribe to NAV. Again, somebody from NAV will reach out to you. Let's not forget, we are a for-profit organization. You can sign up for free, or if you need to fast track, NAV does offer programs where they will report your subscription as a trade line. Okay, so again, important there. And just to give you an idea of dollars, it's probably about $50 a month. So if it is about you fast tracking for big dollars, pay the $50 a month, right? You could always take it off later on, but at least you know where you are. When we're looking at our business credit, we also want to look at, and this is like a really big nugget. I was talking to my friend Paul this morning on the car ride over. Does anybody here know what your NAICS number is? Oh, thank you. Your NAICS number is your identifier that the IRS uses to figure out what type of an industry you are in. Sometimes, when we are opening up our business, we did not choose our NAICS number. It may have been our accountant, or sometimes it may have been our banker. There are times, and again, just by show of hands, is anybody here in what they know is to be a high-risk business? Where's my real estate investor? She's not here. High-risk business, real estate investing, high-risk business. It's early morning on, where are we, Tuesday? Pornography, high-risk business. Farm, high-risk business, right? So if you can creatively think about how you could identify what your business does, major nugget, change your NAICS number. It's not permanent. Your business will evolve over time. So if you are in what we consider to be a high-risk business, change your NAICS number. That means identifying that and letting your accountant know, letting the Department of State know, and letting the IRS know. The reason why is because those are the areas that it gets viewed. So now, if you are a real estate investor looking for funding, we may not want to say that we're a real estate investor. We may want to say we're a property manager. Less risky, right? So now, you are a real estate investor and you need 100 grand for home improvement. You may have a hard time getting the funding that you need and the resources you need. But if you switch that number around on all of your applications, when the funder goes to look you up, they will see that you are no longer in a high-risk category and you will have access to higher funding. I also want to make sure that everybody realizes the importance of how they structure their tax returns, how they're paying themselves, and how they are depositing money. A lot of the lenders that are out there, they want to see your bank statements. You could have no money on your tax return. You could be negative $30,000. But if you can show me 3 months of bank statements with deposits, I got your money, right? What you want to do is make sure that you are applying for funding that is appropriate to your business. You could be day one self-employed and you can have good credit and I can get you lines of credit. You could be 5 years into your business, you could have destroyed credit. But because your business is solid, I can get you funding. It's a matter of understanding how the structure works and how to take advantage of the opportunities. So a lot of times you'll see, has anybody ever had somebody and you're like, this guy or lady is a train wreck. How on earth do they keep evolving over and over again? You're like, this just blows my mind. You're like, I, got stuck during the pandemic and missed a mortgage payment and nobody will look at me because I'm a dirtbag. And this guy's got 4 foreclosures, 2 repossessions, and how on earth is he building and branding a new company? I say it again. Every time you open up a new LLC, it is a fresh start. Credibility equals fundability. Forget about what you know about all their other businesses. Credibility equals fundability. So I think just for the sake of time, I'm going to just open it up if anybody has any questions. But on this sheet of paper is my QR code. If anybody is interested, my team will give you a 15-minute discovery call to give you advice and guidance on your business. If you are overwhelmed with what I just said, or you start taking the time and you say, I just can't do this, I'm not comfortable, you can talk to somebody on my team. We do have programs available that will fast track this for you. But does anybody here have any questions? Sure. Well, I'm walking your way.
The NAISC number. Where do you go say that? How do you say it?
So we can go over that, in a call, but what you would need to do is first identify if you are high risk. You could go to, so if you are not sure, you could literally go to your tax return, top left corner of your tax return will give you your NAICS number. Your banker should also have your NAICS number. And even more importantly, what you want to do is confirm that it's the same number. Right? So if you walk in to open up your bank statement, if you go in to open up a bank account, it does not make it that it is the same. Confirm it. Go to NAICS in a Google search. It will then open up a window. You will plug in your NAICS number into that window, and it will tell you whether or not you are a high risk. Once we've established that, we can go through it. So D&B offers a program, a pay program, and NAICS also offers a free program. What the advantage of doing those programs is that they will immediately put you down as a trade line. So if you are trying to grow your vendor accounts and trade lines because you need that in order for you to establish a credit score, that's what it will do. And just a little nugget for those that are, if you have a 680 credit score or higher, say it like that, 680 credit score or higher, and you are in need of capital today, Chase Inc. credit card is currently offering 0% for 18 months. Process that, okay? So if you're not sure, whether or not you have a good credit score, go to Experian.com, it's a free app. You could go to Credit Karma, they use a different model, but it'll give you a gauge to whether or not you are credit worthy, and I would start over there. Okay. Any other questions?
I just had a question about, since the LLC is fresh start when you have one, in some businesses like high-end or like real estate investing, you tend to create LLCs just for that deal, and then you close that. How does that work with funding? Like, how do you? Because then that's a fresh LLC. Does that is negative, isn't it? Or do you have an LLC that kind of sits, that is your base all the time? Like, I don't know if that's too good.
So what she was saying is, I'm a real estate investor and I opened up an LLC specifically for the purpose of this transaction. How do I build business credit if it was really only meant for that one transaction? Is that correct?
Right.
So I would recommend creating an LLC or a holding corporation, and what you would do is build it underneath there. And then your bookkeeper, your accountant will take it from there, but you'd create that first. And then we do have clients that create subsidiaries from there, and we don't get as much money in that scenario, but if all of the money is funneling through to the holding corp, you're also going to have a larger deposit amount, which will be of value to you when you're looking for higher lines of credit.
So kind of like a mother company and then job. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So I have 3 separate entities, different businesses, and I have, under a couple of the businesses, businesses, I have loans from traditional banks or SBA loans, rolling lines of credit, and then I've got credit cards under all those businesses. And my accountant told, in a lot of the bank loans, I'm a personal guarantor, or in a different business as a guarantor, or something like that. But for the credit cards under the business, my accountant told me they basically fall under my personal credit because I'm such a small business. Is that true?
Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. What you need to identify it is whether or not when you are doing the application, if you are personally guaranteeing. The larger your business, the chances are you will not need a PG. What will happen is a lot of times, nobody intentionally takes out money thinking they're going to default. But what I will tell you is, for example, if you took out American Express and you personally guaranteed it, American Express will not only report negatively on your business credit, but they will immediately attack your personal credit. Right? So it's a double whammy. If you are a sustainable business and you are not sure whether or not you personally guaranteed, all you have to do is call the credit card company, ask them, and you can also ask them if they have another product that they can move you into so that you can balance transfer that.
How can you find out what your business credit is?
Your score?
Yeah.
So that's where you would go to NA. If you go to NAV, NAV will pull all three, or once you establish Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax, once you have a minimum of those 4 trade lines and you have a score, it will show up automatically. Okay? Anybody else?
All right, how was that? Amazing.